Okay, so let's get into some more past paper practice. So with this first question, it's my favorite type of question. We've got to arrange it into this particular form. Write x to the minus a half multiplied by 3 minus 4 root x whole squared. Now, first, I'm going to expand this whole squared term. So I'm going to end up with x to the minus a half multiplied by 9 minus, and this time we're going to use the 2ab formula. So I'm going to write 2 multiplied by 3 multiplied by minus 4 root x. If you're new to A-level maths, a dot in like this that looks a little bit like a decimal is actually a symbol for multiply. Okay, so write 2.3 dot minus 4 root x, and then we need squared, so it's simply going to be plus 16x. Okay, now we're going to multiply this out, so I'm going to get 9x to the minus half, and then we're going to get plus 24 x to the half, and we're multiplying this, remember, by x to the minus a half, and then we have plus 16x to the half, simply because we've got 16x to the power 1 minus multiplied by x to the minus half. Let me actually just write that out for you guys so you can see. So we've got this multiplied by x to the minus half. So in this next step, you'll see what we're doing. And this is essentially going to be 24x to the 0. So it's going to disappear. So it's as it's going to be 1. And then we've got plus 16x to the half as our answer. Okay, so we've got 9x to the minus half plus 24 plus 16x to the power of a half. Now let's move on to the next question. So now this is a little bit of a trickier question. We are going to make the 4 have the same base. Okay, so it's going to be 2 minus 1x equal to 2 to the power 2x. Okay, now that I know this, I can say that 1 minus x is equal to 2x, since the bases are the same, and it will simply be 1 equal to 3x, and therefore x is 1 over 3. Okay, nice and simple. Let's move on to our next question. Okay, so we need to simplify the following. Okay, so to start off with this question, I'm simply going to multiply by the conjugate. Okay, so to start off with, I'm going to be multiplying by 2 minus root 3, 2 minus root 3, so I'm going to end up with 10. I'm going to do my FOIL method here. So that was my first. My outside is going to be 5 and so minus 5 root 3. My inside is going to be minus 2 root 3, and my last term is going to be plus 3. And that's all over 4 minus 3. Now just remember, here we did the a squared minus b squared formula, because it was a plus b, a minus b equal to a squared minus b squared. Okay? Perfect. Now let's continue on with the rest of the question. I can simplify this further, because I know that it's all divided by 1, so that makes our life a lot easier. And we're going to get 13 minus 7 root 3 as our answer. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Okay, so we've got a little bit of a strange looking one over here. So we've got 2x squared. Now let's try our best to solve this question. So to start off with, what I'm going to do is simply write out the x to the minus a half, just as we've been taught, 2x squared minus x3 over 2. Okay, we're going to write it out like this, and now I'm going to expand it. So remember, I add and subtract the power, so it's going to be 2 minus a half minus x 3 over 2, and this is multiplied by x to the minus a half. Okay, so once we go further from here, we need to write it in this form. Okay, so it's going to be 2x to the 3 over 2. So therefore my p is 3 over 2. And then it's going to be minus x to the power 1. Okay, because simply 3 over 2 minus 1 over 2 is just 2 over 2, which is 1. So it's just going to be 1 on its own. So Q is going to equal to 1 and P is equal to 3 over 2. Perfect. So let's just make a note of that so you guys have that. Equal to 1. There we go. Okay, now let's move on to the next question. Okay, this is our last question. And here it's a little bit of a challenge, but we can do it. If you look closely, you can spot that 9, we need to convert that into the 3. And how we can do this is by essentially writing as 3 squared. So 3 to the power x is equal to 3 squared y minus 1. We multiply out the powers, so it's going to be 3 2y minus 2. And therefore, my x, we also have, remember that my 3 to the power x is equal to my 3 to y to the minus 2. So we can equate these powers, and then I can say that because they have the same base, x is equal to 2y minus 2. And there we have it. Thank you.